Japan is a country that feels almost unreal at first glance, a land where cherry blossoms float through the air like pink snow, where ancient temples stand in silent perfection beside neon skyscrapers, and where the world's fastest trains glide across landscapes that look like paintings. It is an island nation in East Asia, home to more than 125 million people, built on discipline, precision, and breathtaking beauty. Every spring, millions gather for Hanami, celebrating the short-lived bloom of sakura flowers, a tradition that captures the very soul of Japan, beauty that exists only for a moment before it fades. Even the iconic Mount Fuji, calm and symmetrical against the skyline, represents both serenity and hidden destruction, because beneath its snow-covered peak lies an active volcano capable of eruption. Japan sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire, one of the most dangerous seismic zones on Earth, experiencing over 1,000 earthquakes every year. The ground itself is unstable, constantly shifting, reminding its people that permanence is an illusion. Yet from this fragile foundation rises one of the most advanced societies in human history, a country known for robotics, bullet trains, global brands, safety, cleanliness, and unmatched social order. But this polished surface hides scars carved deep into its history. In 1945, nuclear fire consumed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, turning cities into ash within seconds and leaving shadows of human beings burned into concrete walls. Hundreds of thousands died, and the nation was forced to surrender in World War II, facing humiliation, devastation, and total collapse. And still, Japan rebuilt itself into an economic superpower within decades, transforming tragedy into technological dominance. Yet death does not exist only in its past, it lives quietly in its forests, in the silent pressure of its work culture, in the unspoken struggles of isolation within crowded cities like Tokyo. At the base of Mount Fuji lies Aokigahara, a forest so dense and silent that compasses malfunction, a place where signs gently remind visitors that their lives matter. Japan is also one of the safest countries in the world, with extremely low crime rates and one of the highest life expectancies, a society built on respect and harmony. This contrast is what makes Japan extraordinary, a nation that understands that beauty and destruction are not opposites, but partners. The cherry blossom falls not because it is weak, but because its time has come. Earthquakes strike not because the land is cursed, but because nature demands balance. Nuclear devastation did not end Japan, it reshaped it. In Japan, death is not always hidden, it is acknowledged, studied, respected, and woven into philosophy, history, and culture. The same society that created samurai codes of honor, where warriors chose death over disgrace, now creates futuristic cities that look like scenes from science fiction. The same country that suffered atomic destruction now leads in innovation and resilience. Japan is not simply beautiful, and it is not defined by tragedy, it is powerful because it has mastered both. And to understand Japan fully, you must look beyond the pink petals and neon lights, beyond the tourism images and social media filters, and confront the deeper truth. This is a nation where life is cherished precisely because death has always been close. What makes Japan even more fascinating is how deeply death is woven into its cultural psychology, not as something chaotic, but as something controlled and honorable. Centuries before modern skyscrapers and robotics labs, Japan was ruled by samurai warriors who lived by the code of Bushido, a philosophy built on loyalty, discipline, and absolute honor. To a samurai, losing honor was worse than losing life itself, and ritual suicide, known as seppuku, was seen not as weakness but as a final act of dignity. This mindset shaped generations, embedding resilience and emotional restraint into the national identity. Even today, echoes of that discipline can be seen in Japan's work ethic, where perfection is expected and failure feels deeply personal. But this culture of endurance has also created pressure, intense, silent pressure. Japan introduced the term karoshi, meaning death by overwork, a phenomenon recognized after employees literally worked themselves to collapse. In a society where harmony is valued above confrontation, many people suppress their struggles, choosing silence over vulnerability. The result is a paradox, one of the safest countries in the world, yet one that battles loneliness in its crowded megacities. In places like Tokyo, millions move in synchronized order every day, trains arriving exactly on time, citizens following unspoken rules of respect, yet emotional isolation can exist behind polite smiles. And then there is nature, a constant reminder that control is an illusion. In 2011, a massive earthquake triggered a devastating tsunami and the Fukushima nuclear disaster, forcing entire towns to be abandoned. Waves swallowed cities. Radiation zones replaced neighborhoods. Once again, Japan faced destruction not from war, but from the earth itself. And once again, it rebuilt. This cycle, beauty, destruction, discipline, rebirth, defines the Japanese spirit. Unlike many nations that try to erase painful history, Japan preserves it. Hiroshima's Peace Memorial stands not just as a reminder of tragedy, but as a symbol of survival. Earthquake drills are routine. Buildings are engineered to bend, not break. Children are taught preparedness from a young age. Instead of denying death, Japan prepares for it. Instead of collapsing under pressure, it adapts. And that adaptation is perhaps the country's greatest strength, the ability to transform trauma into structure, fear into innovation, and loss into long-term resilience. What ultimately makes Japan extraordinary is not that it experienced destruction, but that it engineered resilience into its national identity. After 1945, when the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki left the country physically shattered and economically paralyzed, few believed Japan could recover within a generation. Yet within decades, it transformed into one of the most powerful economies in the world, becoming a leader in automotive engineering, consumer electronics, precision manufacturing, and advanced robotics. This was not luck, it was discipline applied at a national scale. Japan rebuilt its cities with infrastructure designed to survive the very disasters that once destroyed them. Skyscrapers in Tokyo are constructed to sway with earthquakes rather than collapse, high-speed rail systems like the Shinkansen are engineered with near-perfect safety records, and early warning systems for tsunamis and seismic activity are among the most advanced on Earth. The country invests heavily in research, automation, artificial intelligence, and next-generation technology, positioning itself at the forefront of global innovation while maintaining deep respect for tradition. That balance is rare. Ancient temples stand peacefully beside neon districts like Shibuya, and centuries-old tea ceremonies coexist with humanoid robots and cutting-edge laboratories. Japan does not erase its past, it integrates it. Memorials in Hiroshima are preserved not as symbols of weakness, but as reminders of survival and responsibility. The 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami, followed by the Fukushima nuclear disaster, once again tested the nation's strength, displacing entire communities and shaking global confidence. Yet reconstruction began almost immediately, guided by methodical planning and social unity rather than chaos. This capacity to respond calmly under extreme pressure has become part of Japan's global image, a country that prepares instead of panics. It remains one of the largest GDP contributors in the world, home to multinational corporations that influence global supply chains, transportation systems, entertainment industries, and consumer technology markets. Culturally, it exports anime, design philosophy, minimalism, and lifestyle trends that shape international youth culture and digital communities. Socially, it maintains one of the lowest crime rates globally and one of the highest life expectancies, demonstrating that safety and longevity can exist even in a nation constantly exposed to natural threats. What ties all of this together is a quiet understanding of impermanence. In Japan, beauty is appreciated because it fades. Structures are built knowing they may be tested. Systems are created with the assumption that disruption is inevitable. Rather than chasing the illusion of permanence, Japan plans for uncertainty. And perhaps that is the deeper lesson hidden beneath the cherry blossoms and steel skylines. Strength is not the absence of tragedy, but the ability to absorb it, adapt to it, and evolve beyond it. Japan is not simply a paradise, nor merely a land scarred by catastrophe. It is a case study in strategic resilience, proof that a nation can confront nuclear devastation, relentless natural disasters, and social pressures, and still emerge stable, innovative, and globally respected. So when we ask whether Japan represents beauty or death, the more accurate answer may be this: it represents mastery over both. And maybe the most unsettling truth about Japan is this: it is not a country that chose beauty after death. It is a country that built its beauty because of death. The earthquakes forced innovation. The nuclear fire forced reinvention. The cultural pressure forced discipline. Every tragedy became a foundation. So when you see cherry blossoms falling under a calm Tokyo sky, remember that peace was not inherited. It was engineered. And the real twist: Japan is not beautiful despite its history of destruction. Japan is powerful because it mastered it.